Welcome to Bon Jovi Discussions. Today I have my buddy Kevin, who's been on this episode God knows how many times. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing fantastic, man. It's great to be talking with you in a new year, and
Is it
it's
New Year?
2024, 40th anniversary, 40th anniversary of the band. That can only mean one thing: a lot of really cool things going on.
Yeah.
So,
Which is what our episode's going to be about because, so as you just said, it's the 40th anniversary of the band. We've been waiting a few weeks now for news from the band. With it yesterday being, the anniversary of the debut album, which marks 40 years of the band since the debut album. So before we get into this discussion, people that are listening in, the band has not announced it yet, but it's this stuff is obviously coming from good sources and stuff, like Variety. So it was announced today that the documentary that we've been waiting on for at least 2 years. I mean, we heard about this documentary coming back in 2020 or something
I
like
think this
that.
was an I think this was announced during a runaway trip in like 2021.
Yeah, but there was rumors about it that they started to film at the end of I think this house tour, if I remember correctly. I could
Oh,
be
really? I did not know that.
yeah. Um, so this has been in the making for quite a few years now, if I recall correctly. But so anyway, so it was announced today by Variety and other, reliable media sources. It's a documentary called Thank You, Goodnight, the Bon Jovi Story. And I know that there's quite a bit that we want to talk about. Obviously, yet we haven't gotten a trailer. We haven't gotten um, any news from the, we always know news comes out before the band even puts it out. That happens with any
Hmm.
band these days. So we're just kind of going by what the articles are saying and stuff like that. Um, I guess let's start off with, so this is actually the second band documentary that we've ever gotten. The first one, um,
No, third.
what was the second?
Access all areas.
Oh,
When
that's
we were
right.
beautiful.
You're right.
And this
You're
one,
right. Yeah. I stand
same here.
corrected. I better
Yeah.
better start eating more fiber. But yeah, so Access to All Areas came out in 1990, and it followed the band on the New Jersey tour from 88 to 90. And then the second documentary was When We Were Beautiful in 2008, and that followed the band on the Lost Highway tour and to celebrate 25 years. And let's lightly touch on the When We Were Beautiful documentary because it was that documentary kind of showed you stuff that kind of what went on behind the scenes, like on the Lost Highway tour, and how John was the CEO of this major corporation and stuff like that. What did you think of the whole When We Were Beautiful documentary?
I think it was one of the first things that I actually watched because I discovered Bon Jovi. Sorry about that. Sorry about that.
Better
Um, then I'm not that sorry in that case.
no,
Um,
that ends this chat. Go on.
um, but yeah, ironically, I became a fan in 2010. And I remember reading the When We Were Beautiful book and then watching the documentary around that time as well. So it was one of the right when I was kind of discovering the band and really going into their deep cuts around that time. So as a matter of fact, it made me get more respect for the band, have more respect for the band. It's one of the things that cemented my love for them, really. Um, just seeing how good of a leader John was, just seeing how the band really worked together on that Lost Highway tour. And it was one of their most successful tours. One of the things that John said is like, how come, this is when they were in the opening scene when they were playing Abu Dhabi, I think.
Yeah.
How come that place is sold? He's like, this place is sold out. This is the most people we've ever that have ever been here. Why is a kid who's like 15, 16 years old listening to the music that a 40 something year old is making?
Yeah, exactly. Um, yeah, so that documentary was really good, and but now what, 15 years later or whatever, we're getting the new documentary. And it's called "Thank You, Goodnight, the Bon Jovi Story." I guess I want to start talking about the title because I'm looking all over online, and this is the first Bon Jovi news that we've gotten so far this year. And it's obviously it's not a secret that we're getting a tour, new album is coming, a potential box set, and so on. And but this makes me, with this being the very first thing that's being announced, the title "Thank You, Goodnight." Obviously, John has said that for years on tour. At the end of every show, he says "Thank you, good night," and then he does the jump, and Tico does the drum, and then the show's over, or they go
Yeah.
to an encore. There's a lot of fans talking about it right now. Could this be? And this is just pure speculation. Could this potentially be the start of the end of Bon Jovi that we're seeing? You know?
Well, it's a yes. It's a yes, and there's a yes and no to this question,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
Yes, in the sense that this potentially will be their last major tour. But do I believe that they're going to be playing one last show at Madison Square Garden, and they're going to go out in a puff of smoke, and then they're going to show off the new Bon Jovi avatars? Probably not. Probably not.
Yeah.
If I was a betting man, I'd bet against it. But I think we will get new music every now and again. Maybe they'll go the Billy Joel route and do residencies at the Garden.
Yeah.
Um,
This kind of gives me a perspective though too, because if this was the finale of the band as far as touring goes, why not film a lot of this during this last tour, then put out the documentary afterward? You know? So right there kind of gives you some hope that okay, this might not be the last year of touring or whatever. Um,
well, they need ways to put some more asses in the seats.
yeah,
Not that they were having trouble with that, but this is a whole. I'm not a marketing guy, but as someone that's taking
yeah,
an educated guess here, they want to make this a really big thing. So of course they're going to put out an album, a documentary, and make it really big because it's with Bon Jovi. It's go big or go home.
yeah. And this is such a big year for the band. I mean, we're talking 40 years,
It's a
so
celebration. It's a
yeah,
victory lap.
exactly.
That's really why I think they're doing it now. Plus, like there's going to be a lot of headlines. There's going to be a lot of things that will be revealed. I'm sure. A lot of things that we don't know about. And just by having just by having the Bon Jovi name out there, and having that highlight all the amazing things that they've done in their career, people are gonna be like, you know what, if this is the final tour, I'm gonna go see them.
Yeah, exactly. And I've talked about this before in previous episodes. I hope this is not the end. I really,
I hope it's not either.
I selfishly say that, but at the same time, I also, if it is, the final year of at least touring, I respect that. The band has given their all the last 40 years, and this is I think if this is the start of the end, this is a great way to start it with, saying thank you, good night. That'd be a great tour title too, you know,
Yeah.
but we'll see. We'll see. I just think, especially with the band's team and John's mindset, like if you weren't planning for it to be the end, I don't know if thank you, good night would have been the proper title. Who knows? Once the
We'll
band
find
starts
out soon.
what's that?
We'll find out soon.
Exactly. So let's kind of dig a little into the documentary here. So it's going to air on Hulu, and obviously Disney Plus because it's in partnership
Yeah,
with
there.
Hulu.
Yeah.
Um, but so it airs on April 26th, and it's going to be a four-part series, which means so we'll get the first episode on April 26th, and I'm assuming we'll probably get a new episode every Friday until we get into the final episode. And like you and I were talking a little bit ago, I bet you, the first episode will be, how they got started, their career in the 80s, and maybe the second episode will be, maybe their, Slippery New Jersey touring. And also depends on how long these episodes are. With this being Hulu and not on TV, everything's for fair game because you can, for TV, it can only be 45 minutes and then commercials. But
Well,
with
it's probably gonna be the same.
yeah,
Sorry.
but for Hulu, you could do 2 hours per episode, or an hour and a half or whatever. And so, like I said, that first episode could probably be how they got started. And then maybe start touch base on debut in 7800. Second episode is, the Slippery New Jersey, and because there's so much to say about that era or those two albums and tours. There's so much to say there. And then touch into the 90s and talk about Alex's departure and stuff. And then, solo works. That's the second episode. Then you got your third episode where you talk about, maybe 2000 to 2010, and then the fourth episode is, from 2010 to now. Um, like I said, it all depends on how long these episodes are, what they can fit in, and what are your thoughts?
I think it was more of the same. I think I'm looking at like the Ed Sheeran documentary that came out
Which was
on Disney
phenomenal.
Plus.
I
Oh,
love
it's fantastic. Um, you're looking at like I think like 45 minutes an episode, because
Yeah,
anything more it's like a little too much. But you know, if it's gonna be anything like the Kiss documentary, I think it's gonna be really good.
yeah. See, and I love the Kiss documentary. And I've seen bands do documentaries that are 2 hours long an episode, or like
Oh,
Ed
I
Sheeran,
haven't seen that.
45 minutes. I think for Ed's story though, everything was really short and stuff. And Bon Jovi has so much to go over, and it's hard to put 40 minutes in, 2, 3 hours. So I think we're gonna get really good
The
lengthy.
more the merrier.
Yeah, exactly. So I want to open up the variety article and just kind of touch base on a few things. To kind of give some credit here. So the people who are behind this documentary are Bon Jovi, obviously, obviously. But Gotham Chopra, I guess
He's the director.
he's the director. Okay, no disrespect. I never heard of him. But I guess he directed Kobe Bryant's Muse, Man in the Arena, Tom versus Time, and it's directed and executive produced. But that's him. Never mind. What am I talking about here? Giselle Peretz and Amit Sankaran are also executive producers. Alex Trudeau Vieto, he's credited with playing a critical role in the series. He and also helped produce and edit the documentary. And then Chopra's ROS production banner produced the docu-series. So just I want to kind of give credit there. Um, so Hulu, so for the last 2 years, we've wondered who was going to acquire. Was it going to be HBO? Because Showtime did When We Were Beautiful, I believe.
Hmm.
Yeah, with Showtime. And so, but now, a lot of these bands are now putting, like Kiss it on A&E, which is kind of strange, you know.
Hmm.
But like so Hulu, Netflix, Disney, that's where it's at. So I was kind of glad to kind of see it go on Hulu. I think it just ends up coming down to a bidding war, who wants to pay for it more, kind of thing.
Well, that's how everything is. You make it like I'm unrelated, but the Nickelback documentary, it's still in the bidding war right now.
Yeah,
Because they,
which I can't wait to see that
dude,
too.
I know that's gonna be so
I
good.
love
But
Nickelback.
yeah, it premiered at a film festival in Toronto, and now then it's like you need to wait for a company like Netflix, Hulu, Amazon to buy it and then put it on there and to put it out. And I'm sure there's going to be a marketing campaign around it and all that stuff, press screeners and all that fun stuff. So,
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just going to go through the article at any time. If I don't stop and you want to add or
okay,
say,
cool, cool,
interrupt me, tell me to shut up.
cool.
The four-part series marks the first ever docu-series on the band's history with full cooperation from all past and present members of Bon Jovi. So that means Richie's going to be in it, obviously,
Hmm.
which is going to be kind of cool. I wonder because, like I said, rumor had it that this was starting to get filmed, towards the end of 2019, early 2020. And then I think it stopped because of, the COVID and all that. That's rumor. I don't know if that's true or not. But um, if that is the case, if this was filmed before June of 2022, could it be a possibility that Alec is in this documentary?
I would love that. I
You
would
know,
love that.
and my finger, like if I'm hoping for anything from this documentary, I would love for Alec to have had an interview before his death. Obviously, most people that are watching this or listening to this know that Alec John Such was the bass player from 83 to 94. And then, whether you want to call it got fired or he quit, he left the band in 94. Um, and so then he passed away in June of 2022. So I am hoping that he was filmed for an interview and kind of talked a little bit about, his experience through the band's career and also his departure because the departure was, the band has always kept kind of a really tight inner circle and never kind of aired dirty laundry. And so when they did like Behind the Music in 2000, they lightly touched, you can find it on YouTube too, the little segment, but they lightly touched about Alec's departure, and Alec declined to leave a comment. And the band kind of, John said, he had him at his house and fired him. And, but I'm hoping with, Alec's story that they kind of go more in depth of what happened. Because as I'm going to read here in a little bit, it does say it's a very vulnerable documentary.
And
So
I like that.
yeah,
That's what I want. I don't want I don't want to watch 45 minutes of bullshit. I want to
e-
watch something with
exactly.
heart.
Yeah, like diehards like us, we know everything, but like the general public, they don't know everything, and so like I think there's gonna be a lot of things that you and I already know, and other diehards. But I also think that if you put out a documentary, you have to show something that's revealing and
Oh
vulnerable.
yeah.
And we'll get into that here in a little bit, but so I'm hoping Alec has some kind of special segment, and if he does or doesn't, either way, I really hope they'll do like a credit like in memory of Alec John Such, or I'm sure they'll probably talk about his death at the end of it too. They might do that, stuff like that. So, was there anything that you wanted to say about that, Alec?
I have faith that they're gonna do it right. I
Yeah,
really do. I have faith that they're gonna do it right.
I definitely don't think that they would ever disinclude Alec. Um, but they're definitely going to do something. It's just a matter of what are they doing. Um,
Put it to you this way: I don't expect him to be given the Peter, Chris, and Ace Frehley treatment.
no. And then obviously Richie is going to be in it, which is going to be really cool. So and obviously you have to include Richie because Richie's been on, 30 years of this band. And I wonder how much are they going to talk about um his departure. You know, I'm sure it's gonna get touched on because then, because Phil's gonna
Of
be in it
course,
too. And so you have to talk about, how much are they gonna say? And, right now it's just what ifs that we're talking about here. But how much are they gonna go into it? Are they just gonna lightly touch on it and then move on? You know, it's hard to say, you
it
know?
depends. It
Yeah,
depends because um, I it to be honest with you, I don't know. I can't really give an
yeah,
honest answer really,
yeah,
but at the end of the day, I think people, just about Richie as a whole, I think people need to realize that, facts are facts. He clearly did not want to be in the band.
yeah,
And I don't think people should hold him to it. If someone doesn't want to
yeah,
be in a band, then, you know, I'd rather them leave. And, you have someone like
yeah.
Phil who genuinely wants to be there. He brings a new sense of energy into the band, just like a new fire into the band. And you know, I've seen Bon Jovi 31 times, I think. I've seen them with Richie twice. So for me, when I think of Bon Jovi, it's like I'm just
Yeah.
used to seeing Phil.
Yeah. But back to the documentary, I'm glad that Richie has
Yeah,
wanted to because this documentary would be kind of weird not to include Richie, even if it's
100%. Yeah.
yeah. So I'm glad that he's going to be a part of it.
I mean,
Um,
I'd love to hear what happened. I'd love
yeah,
to hear what happened,
e-
but I'd love to
exactly.
hear a side of the story. But
Yeah. And so now it also says the current members, so that's obviously, Phil, Shanks, Shanks will have probably a lot to say because he's produced every album since Have a Nice Day.
mm,
Then we got Everett, who's worked with John during his solo career for Destination. He's worked on various projects, or like This Left Feels Right, or some solo shows with John. And then obviously he's been on tour with the band, for This House and the 2022 tour. So he'll be in that. Lorenzo probably because of, working on a couple things on, Burning Bridges, and then, working on the Lost Highway tour. Um, so who else? Bobby Bandiera, I would imagine, because
Ooh, the Cuban jukebox.
yeah, he's worked heavily with John, obviously not anymore, but, late 90s, kind of like Everett. He was on the Lost Highway tour, Circle tour. Was Bobby? Yeah, Bobby was on the Lost
Yeah, it
Highway,
was on the Circle, Lost
and then
Highway Circle.
because we
Um,
can tour, and then
yeah,
that was
because we
it.
can. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I wonder if Matt O'Ree will be. I mean, Matt O'Ree was kind of he only did a few shows in 2015 when they went overseas.
Mm.
It probably be still cool to just kind of touch base like what it was like for him. So yeah, let's move on to the article here. Where was I? Um, it also promises to give viewers a glimpse at the life of the frontman behind the music. So this is where I really want to touch on. I think it goes more into it before I get into that. I want to make sure. So no, it doesn't. Okay. So actually, yes, it does. As thrilling of the story of a once in a lifetime talent is, it is even more rare that a legend like John Bon Jovi lets the world into his most vulnerable moments while he's still living them. 40 years of personal video. Actually, we'll get into that. So, so I wonder if this is going to. I think it's good. The summary of the whole thing is going to be probably following John and hearing his stories and then getting the band's feedback, kind of like when we were beautiful. Um,
Maybe.
you
Well, John
know,
is the leader, so
Yeah, exactly. And that's to be expected. I just really hope that the band also gets a lot of camera time and, stuff like that. So, but it's kind of cool to kind of follow John and stuff. Let me move on to this article here to kind of talk about it. Um, so 40 years of personal videos, so unreleased early demos, original lyrics, and never before seen photos that chronicle the journey from Jersey Shore clubs to the biggest stages on the planet. This series relives the triumphs and setbacks, greatest hits, biggest disappointments, and most public moments of friction. Reads the description from Hulu. So let's talk a little bit about what I everything that I just said. So let's start off with personal videos. I wonder, if it's just like videos from all the because they filmed every tour, whether it was the show or backstage. And so, maybe stuff from BJTV that they've put out or
what's BJTV?
what's that?
What's BJTV?
You don't know what BJTV is? Oh, dude. A lot of the videos have gotten deleted on YouTube, which is kind of ironic to think, right now. But anyway, BJTV started back in 2000 when they were filming Crush at John's, sanctuary at John's Red Bank home, the Sanctuary Studios. And they would go on, this is back in dial-up internet, but they would just kind of film. They had different episodes of them in the studio filming Crush, and then they did it again for Bounce. And then it came back and Have a Nice Day, where they started to like, like do little segments here and like of them on tour. And then they did it on Lost Highway tour. They'd go backstage and interview the band members or show life on the road or go interview fans going to the show. They did it for the Circle tour. And then what about now? It kind of stopped. And Mike Rue, who's worked for the band for many years, he kind of took a charge of a lot of it. And but yeah, there used to be so many. You can still find a few, but there used to be so many cool videos of that, and I'd love to see like a resurface of all those videos. And it used to be on the band's fan club when it was backstage with John Bon Jovi, so that was kind of cool. Um, yeah, the next thing? Personal videos, unreleased early demos. Which if they are still doing a box set, I imagine those demos will probably be maybe on the box set or something. It'd be a huge tease for us to hear it on this documentary and but then not get it for our consumption to listen to, if that
I'm
makes.
sure in the documentary, what's going to happen is like they'll, like they'll maybe like play like a 10-second snippet of it, and you'll be able to find the songs on the
Yeah.
box set for sure.
Yeah. Not like could they be doing like maybe a soundtrack, you know? You know?
Maybe.
It, it's
I
a
don't
stupid
know.
theory, but anything is possible, you know? That's what I say.
That's true. Uh,
Yeah.
we don't know. Again, this is all speculative. We're just a bunch of fangirls, really. That's it.
Exactly.
Um, so yeah, I think yeah, like those songs will be on the box set for sure.
Yeah. Then, like a never before seen photos. I've heard that before. In original lyrics, which that'll be kind of cool to see. I'm a big fanboy of this band, so I love looking at stuff like stuff that's in the archives, like outfits or guitars that they've played, or like because every year for on the tour they do like a VIP, and then you go backstage and you'll see stuff that the band has worn over the years, like John's New Jersey Jack. I love seeing stuff like that. So to kind of see like lyrics is gonna be pretty cool. Um,
Yeah, things like that are awesome. Yeah, because like
yeah,
I remember in a whatever, what's the new fan club called again? In that backstage, the
JBJ.
Bon Jovi JBJ experience. Yes, one of the
Yeah,
first videos was Matt in a room where they store all their shit.
yeah,
I mean, their stuff rather. Sorry. Um, and Matt showed like a box full of notebooks, and he's like, "Yeah, John's kept every notebook he's ever written a lyric in, every napkin that he's written something on."
yeah,
So yeah, I would love to see that.
yeah. Me too. Um, and then the last thing I wanted to bring up too, obviously right now the band wants to and Hulu and probably everyone that's in contract with this thing wants to promote it solely on Hulu. But after everything is said and done with this documentary being promoted on Hulu, and we kind of get into June and July, I'm hoping, me as a collector, as a Bon Jovi collector, I am hoping maybe this summer that they'll announce they're going to put this out on Blu-ray or some kind of special release.
I would love that.
Maybe put it on a box set that they're going to hopefully release later this year. Um, just to kind of have, because I think every year things get renewed on Hulu and some things just don't get renewed. And at some point it's not going to get renewed on, years down the road. And so I want to be able to physically, have,
Yeah.
part of the collection.
So two things. Number one, unfortunately, physical media is dying. And that's really sad for me.
Well, that's why I say
Um,
put it in the box set.
yeah, but unfortunately, a lot of people aren't like us.
Yeah.
Um, but if you want, I may know a guy that can rip it off Hulu and put it onto a Blu-ray for you. It's not me, but I know a guy.
Yeah. Well, the thing is too is that Apple will probably eventually sell it where you can buy a digital download of it and watch it on your TV. And I guess
It'll only be on Hulu most likely, but unfortunately, I think the chances of it coming out on physical, again, I hope I'm wrong, are very slim because it's going to be a Hulu original. A lot of times, Hulu originals are going to be on there forever.
yeah. So I guess we'll see. But yeah, I kind of just, obviously there's still so much more that's going to be announced. And the band hasn't even posted it, which is at this point, what are you waiting for?
I mean, I would love to see a trailer at this point. I'm sure that's going to be out maybe by Wednesday ish.
Yeah, it's and that would be really cool. Um, we'll see. Right now, like I said, it just pretty much is going off with these articles, and it's 100% legit.
Yeah,
So
it's deadline, so
it just it's just a matter of time before the band announces it. And before I get off, I just want to make sure that they didn't post anything. Um, well, I would have gotten an alert anyway. Let's see here. Who knows what I'm doing anymore? Yeah, my phone's not even loading. That's fine. But yeah, I'm excited for it. It's going to be
me
great.
too.
You're going to come to my house. We'll have a watch party. You know what's funny? The documentary is on the day of my wife's and I's anniversary.
That's a way to celebrate it for sure.
Well, I told my wife about it, and she goes, "That's our anniversary."
Well,
Yeah,
I know what we're doing.
yeah. Well, it's probably going to come out at like midnight. The morning of the 26th.
It'll probably be out at like 3 a.m. because I've tried to stay up to watch stuff, and it's always on Pacific
Yeah.
Standard Time.
Oh,
So
yeah, that's true. Which, yeah, and that'll be, yeah.
you're nuts enough to stay up for it, I'm sure.
Oh, I'll set an alarm at midnight, and if it's not on there, I'll set an alarm for one. If it's not on at one, I'll set an alarm for two. It'll be, that is crazy. I know. You know, who knows? We'll see what happens. Maybe I'll just as soon as I wake up, I'll put it on. But I know I'm going to be one of those people that just replays it over and over and over. Because I remember when We Were Beautiful documentary came on. This is the VCR days, and
Oh wow.
it premiered on Showtime, and I recorded it on VHS, and I replayed it over and over and over and over. And my grandmother was like, "You gonna watch anything different?" And
No.
Grandma,
Why would I?
you don't understand. So anyway, that we're starting to ramble here, buddy. Thank you. Obviously,
It's always a pleasure coming on.
but you and Austin, you both are my news buddies. So every time there's news, you or Austin come on and we talk about, the news and just kind of our initial reaction. So thank
Yeah,
you.
what's up? No problem, no problem. Next time, maybe we can all three of us come on and make it a threesome. It'll be nice.
Oh, that's actually no, that's because you know Austin too. Good guy.
Yeah, yeah. I met him in Omaha. Funny enough, he recognized me from Bon Jovi discussions. We were in the same row, and
What a
I was
small
trying to
world.
sneak. Yeah, I was trying to sneak up to another row, right? Because I was
Yeah,
seventh row, and that's not close enough. So I
exactly.
feel like a tap on my arm, and I'm like, who the hell is this bothering me at a Bon Jovi show?
Yeah, yeah,
And
awesome.
yeah, he's a cool guy. Yeah.
Yeah, he is. All right, Brad, let me end this recording.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, bye.